This special documentary is graciously presented by For Mists of Time, dedicated to recording oral history from those who were there for those who will follow. Please visit formistsoftime.com.
Drafted in the army now, I'm blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because they couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand. Because the next day the cat went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps ready for his reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Well, I volunteered for the Navy in 1940, right after I got out, graduated from high school. $21 a month seemed like a lot of money at that time, so that was part of the reason. We weren't very wealthy or whatever, but we didn't have any electricity, any gas for heat. We had to cut our own wood to burn for heat, and for a cook stove with a side heater for hot water, and no automatic washer, and an outhouse with a Sears catalog. No TV, no phone, no radio. I was a seaman first class in the 6th Division, and my battle station was on number 2 director on the port side for the anti-aircraft guns. Some of the stories go that we were asleep that day, but that's kind of a lot of bull. Reveille was 5:30 every morning, and of course it was Sunday morning. We were waiting for 8 o'clock for colors, and we didn't have any holy stone and stuff like that, and painting and chipping. On Sunday, it just had a little clean sweep down, and the chow bugle sounded, and we went and had breakfast, and I picked up some oranges to take to a buddy of mine in sick bay, and I went to my locker and come back out, and my locker was in a bakery passageway. And I come back out on the deck, and the sailors were hauling towards Port Island, and walked up to see what all the commotion was all about. I seen one of the planes making a bank, and I seen the big meatball on there, and I thought, well, that's the Japanese, and they were bombing Port Island. And so I started from my battle station. At that time, they were bombing us and strafing us and whatever. And the Arizona was tied up to the quay there, and the vessel was tied up alongside of us outboard. I was her bow to our stern. They were doing some work on the Arizona, so we started shooting at the high-altitude bombers, and we couldn't even reach them. Our shells were bursting way short. We were getting strafed and dive bombed, and then we caught a bomb bounced off our number 3 turret and went in the water, and one went clear through the stern of the vessel, and the big bomb hit us on the starboard side. right after number 2 turret, load 110, 15 foot of battleship clear off. Load number 1 turret up in the air and settle back down, and it's still there to this day. Right down close to sick bay where my buddy was, and into the ammunition. There was 1,000,000 and some pounds of ammunition exploded, and it blew the whole bow of the ship clear off.
The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
The ball of fire just engulfed us until it all burned down and settled down a little bit, and we got a little sea breeze. Got a hold of a sailor on board the vessel. We couldn't get down off where we were at. And he throws the heaving line. We pulled across the heavier line and we tied it off on the Arizona, and we went hand over hand across the line. But probably like 68 feet in the air and about 75, 80 foot across, hand over hand after we were burned. I went to get a gun permit here a few years ago, and I don't have any fingerprints, so you can imagine how bad my hands were burnt when I went across that line, hanging down and going hand over hand. Self-preservation has a lot to do with it, and a lot of help from up above. Well, I was burnt over between 65 and 70% of my body. Most of it second and third degree. And of course I was in the hospital for just about a year, I guess. I said, we're going to discharge you, medical discharge. So they discharged me the last part of 42 and medical discharge. And I went back to Nebraska, and I was there till first part of 44. I re-enlisted and went back in and had to go through the draft board. I had some friends there, and I had stayed in Omaha for a few days while they got permission from the Navy. And got my same service number back again, which helps nowadays, going through a lot of red tape. Finally let me know that, well, we got good news and bad news. You can go back into the Navy, but you got to go through boot camp again. So. Why did you go back? I said, well, maybe part of it was a little revenge, but some of it was that most of the people I'd run around with and my buddies and everything, they were all in the service at that time. Like a fighter, you know, somebody jumps on you, you gotta fight back. Just stand gun watching this and that, and they patrol, and we had a radar. We'd send back messages that the kamikaze was on the way, and we patrolled up there. One morning we woke up and walked out on deck, and we'd circled a water mine, and we'd circle around it all night long, and we blew it up. And continued on, but we were under attack three times up there, but I'm still here. We're bringing some troops back from Guadalcanal to go on Lingayen Gulf, and we're in the South China Sea, and we got to notice a man overboard and circle back, and if you see him or hear him, see if you can pick him up, but if not, just let him go. So I was on the phones in one of the handling rooms there for the night watch, and I and another sailor had a sound-powered phones and went up to the bow of the ship, and we heard him holler, and we notified the bridge, and they circled back around and come back around and picked him up right in the middle of the South China Sea, stark naked. What do you think he was thinking? We picked him up, and he sent him back home to Australia. We got a letter in my jacket from his dad that if we ever got to Australia, well, the town was ours, but we never did get there. So he fell off a transport ship. He was sick and went to the lifeline to heave and fell overboard. It's just one of the things that happened at sea. I doubt if that was really to say that he actually knew that, but I know that we were very lax that day because one of the destroyers sunk one of the Jap submarines right off the harbor there before they attacked. They had a radar up on the North Shore. They called back and said, planes coming in by, just forget it, that's the B-17s coming from the States, and they didn't follow up on it. A lot of our brass didn't pay attention to what was happening. They had several reunions in Pearl Harbor, and some of the Japanese pilots were there, and all the newspaper writers were there and everything else. And said, well, the war's all over, let's go up and shake hands with all the Japanese pilots. And some of the survivors at that time, some of them are gone now, but they went up. They put their arms around him, shook hands with him, everything else, and one of the newsmen said, you're a survivor, aren't you? And I said, sure am. He says, how's your heart? You're not up there. I said, I don't do that. I said, there's 1,000 men out on my ship that wouldn't shake hands with them so they can go to hell. The not very many of us anymore. Everybody in the United States was behind us at that time. Everybody was together. I wish that we were like that now. It was an experience, and never forget it, but it's kind of a far distant memory now. It's been 70 some years, and it's always there.
That was early in the morning, probably about midnight. You know, those firebombs stuff. There was a huge, flames, fires.
Americans wanted to send a message to Japan. They did it with a daring raid on Tokyo.
Actually, we didn't really feel anything, as a threat till you remember the name of Doolittle, and the first air raid. I think that's time really, become reality.
Bill Bauer was pilot of one of the Doolittle raiders.
I chose the naval yard at Yokosuka, which is just south of the city, not too much. And I can't tell you why I chose that, except that it seemed like a good target. And I imagined in my own psyche that I didn't want to kill people. And if it was a naval yard, it was a fair target.
This is, I shouldn't say, but I will. When nighttime siren comes on, this is a real one. And we then have to go next morning to school. So many hours, delayed. And the kids are, like a game. But the real one came and everybody realized it's not a game.
Japan wasn't hit again until early 1945, killing almost 100,000 in Tokyo alone.
Low altitude incendiary bomb. We went in between 5,000 and 7,000 feet, but that's low compared to 35,000. And we all wondered if we would survive.
The Tokyo was really destroyed mainly by a firebomb. Firebomb is about this long, in the kind of cylinder type, shape, and then kind of maybe about this wide, and about this long, and this just come down just like a rain, just like a falling rain, because as soon as that hit the target and just burst into flame. So that's really effective to, destroy all those buildings.
My grandmother went to a steel mill factory to donate steel, I don't know, steel something. And my younger brother and I will stay home. And around 10 o'clock, B-29 came and dropped the firebomb. And I count about 5 in the house and start, fire. So I grab him and I put him in a water tank. We had water tank every family. And I just put him in a water tank and, neck down. And I did the same way, and we went through the fire. Whole neighborhood was fire.
So we went up, dropped incendiary bombs, huge success. City after city was just burned to rusty tin. You could fly over for miles.
I don't think nobody can survive even in a bomb shelter.
Statistics were taken from the Tokyo Fire Department, such as temperature was up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wind was something else, although the fire, and the burning and just like a storm, and the wind and the flames, it's really hot.
And as we went into this firestorm at about 5,000 feet, we immediately experienced this tremendous updraft. And the airplane was just rocking back and forth, almost out of control. As soon as we got inside the storm, we could smell the burning flesh, and it was horrible. The airplane was full of smoke. And it's something that you want to get on and get through here as soon as possible and get some fresh air and know that that's coming from Japanese people that's losing their homes, their very lives. So it was a horrible experience.
We don't know who to blame. You're too young, and the government said do this, do that. Just do it. So we never thought about it. Well, of course, too young to think about it. We have to obey.
By the spring of 1945, Italy and Germany were defeated, but the Japanese were still holding out, fighting island by island, preparing for an American invasion.
Our hope was that since they would realize in despair that they might as well surrender, the war would be over, but they didn't. It was against their religion, and they were told that they would disgrace their ancestors if they did not die fighting, so they could not surrender.
They knew it's a matter of time. They're going to surrender. They're going to lose. They're losing. Because they don't have any more gasoline. They don't have any airplane. They don't have any ships. So it's a matter of time. So Japanese government was that time looking for the mediator.
Men folks came around and tell us, young woman, get the bamboo and cut the strength and sharp. If somebody comes and you fight with this, if they say do it, I will try.
Colonel Paul Tibbets was handpicked to prepare the B-29s to drop the atomic bombs that ended the war without an invasion of Japan. When the time came, Tibbets decided to drop the first bomb himself.
We were doing just what we were told to do. First off, my job was to get that bomb on the target. I had to make this turn to get away from the explosion. And as I leveled my wings after the turn had been made, the sky lit up in blues and pink colors. Greatest thing you ever saw. Of course, it was just a flash. But it was long enough to see, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And then the next thing that happens is shock wave hits us, and we're 10.5 miles away from it. And I had an instrument in there to record the strength of the blow. And That raised us to 2.5 G-forces, and we were 10.5 miles away from it. So it was a pretty good jolt. But again, looking back at the city, it had been clearer coming in. You could see humanity down there. You could see geometric structures and all that sort of thing. But after we dropped it and we were passing by, looking out there, you couldn't see anything but a black boiling pot, steam spouting up here and there. I didn't think anything except we've been successful.
Train came from Hiroshima area, stop in a station. Then people kept coming out, was really burnt. The clothes are burnt. Then also skins are all stripped skins. But for the nail is, because of a nail, the skin won't, come off. Because just the whole skin just like this, burnt. Many Japanese concluded, a bomb, they didn't really need to drop the bomb.
Why take 3 weeks to kill 1,000 or 10,000 people? Why not do it in 1 second? It surprised everybody so much because it was so powerful. I knew that we would convince the Japanese of the futility of continuing to fight.
Firebombing took more lives, of course, by far than the A-bombs, but it had a more lasting effect.
Many people, Japanese, are really believing, of course, that was really wrong to start the war, that's their own fault. But, they talk about that, killing a civilian is a really, unconstitutional, all kind of stuff, But, thing is, war, you do anything to win the war,
So I never had a nightmare or anything like that. I never had. I just take, what's come next. I don't look back too much, I have to move forward. Of course, I never forget it.
When they were young girls and the sun went down and the full moon lit their town, they'd ask their moms if the planes would come. Oh, how they feared that sound. They'd cry, they'd pray, they'd hide below as childhood passed too soon. And those little girls are these women now. They survived the bomber's moon.